Mine says it's live.
It's almost there. All right, we're live.
Awesome. Welcome everyone to the Candidates Forum for the Litchfield Elementary School District Governing Board. Tonight's questions were prepared in advance by residents across the community, and they are all addressing issues that are important to our district. The candidates have not seen these questions in advance, so they too will be hearing them for the first time along with our community that's viewing. The Litchfield Elementary School District's Educational Foundation is honored to host this forum tonight. We are thrilled to be supporting the district in this way, and we invite you all to stay engaged with us and our work in honoring our incredible teachers and staff that we know are serving our students every single day. My name is Catherine Przenski, and I am the president of the foundation and also the director of community engagement with Verado and Victory. I'm honored to be joined tonight by my fellow board members, and I'll make those introductions first, and then we'll move on to our candidates. Mary Kavanaugh Marsh is secretary of the foundation. She is past president and member of the Rotary Club, and also the immediate past president of the Southwest Valley Chamber of Commerce. She's also an investment advisor with Edward Jones. So Mary, thank you for joining us. You have a crazy schedule. And then Andy Phillips, who will be serving as our timer tonight. So she's the one with the power with the mute button. She serves on the City of Litchfield Park Recreation and Public Grounds Commission, and she is a lifelong West Valley resident and an incredible advocate for educational excellence in our community. So Andy, thank you for joining us, and she'll be moderating your time to make sure that we keep everything moving along. There are currently 3 board seats to fill, and we do have 3 candidates running. Note that although he hasn't officially withdrawn, Ryan Risselman has notified the district of his intent to withdraw. So let's dive right in. I'd like to introduce our candidates. We have incumbents Melissa Zeidema, if you could wave to everyone. And then Danielle Clymer, if you could. Thank you. And then our challenger too is now Jeremy Honak. Thank you, Jeremy. So I'll give you a little bit about the background and then we'll dive right in. The format's broken into 3 parts. Each of you will have a 3-minute introduction so that you can share a bit about yourself, followed by the question and answer period. And then we'll have a 2-minute final closing comment by each candidate. I have written each candidate's name on a piece of paper. I'll draw the name of the candidate that will answer that first. And then after that, we'll move left to right on Zoom so that we keep this fair. Jeremy, you're going to be our lucky number 1. So you'll be answering the first question first, and then we'll move on from there. So thank you all candidates for your time tonight and for your commitment to being an actively engaged partner. I'll keep all the candidates on mute until it's their designated time to speak so that we can mitigate any background noise. And then Andy Phillips, who is the board member you all just met, will unmute herself and give you a verbal 10-second warning so that you can wrap up your comments. And as I always say, remember, Zoom allows us to mute you, so make sure we keep those comments timely. Okay, so our first candidate to share their opening remarks tonight is Jeremy Honak. So Jeremy, I will turn it over to you.
And for this privilege to tell a little bit about myself. I've all my life been an inventor, various businesses. And I find that inventing is really just me with a family, and I had to live with them. They spoke no English, and I had to go to school, 4th grade, with not knowing a word of German. I had to learn German because I would have been isolated. So years later, I was traveling in Brussels, and I was completely lost. And I went up to a man. He didn't speak English. There was no one else around. I did my best to communicate with him. He told me where to go and everything was fine. I said, "How was my French?" He said, "Sir, you're speaking German." So my 5 years of French that I learned in school didn't help me one bit. So anyway, the point of it is kids' minds are really flexible. They need their imagination. There's a lot of baggage that kids come to, but you can catch their mind and get them going. So there's a link there, needtosucceed.org. It has some of my ideas and what could be done. But I can tell you this, working with the board, I know that we can deal with COVID. We can get all of our kids to excel, all of them. We can improve our student
Introductory comments.
Thank you. Good evening. Catherine, thank you to the Litchfield Education Foundation for hosting us this evening. It's a great way for our community to stay connected, so I appreciate it. Like you said, my name is Danielle Clymer. I'm currently serving as your governing board president. I want to say thank you to all those that are watching this evening for taking an active role in, taking part in your community, in your schools. I'm proud. I am the proud mother of 2 children, both who attend LESD schools currently. Our family has lived in the West Valley and in this district for 16 years, and we have witnessed the explosive growth that our schools and our district has gone through over the last decade or so. I am honored to have served on this governing board since 2016, and I'm very proud of the work the district has accomplished in that time. While this year has been very tough and has certainly had its share of challenges, LESD has weathered some pretty tough storms before, and I'm confident this district will continue to strive for what is best for students despite these unique circumstances. 2020 has brought more interest in our school district and matters that come before the governing board than I have ever seen. I'm hopeful that we can harness this passion from parents and staff, community members alike, and return that effort by helping them understand the role of the governing board and what our vision is for the district and where we're going from here. Public education just works better when all parts of the community come together to focus on one common goal, and that is doing what is best for students. We are not always in agreement on what that is, but with a governing board and district leadership team who are committed to transparency, we will work through challenges and collaborate with our community to find common ground. This job is not for the faint of heart. It can sometimes require a thick skin, long hours, and seemingly impossible decisions. But my focus remains clear on clear and timely communication with stakeholders, keeping an open mind when working to solve problems, and keeping the kids at the center of every decision. I believe in the power of education, or I wouldn't be here. But I also believe it's our community's responsibility to provide a fair and equitable education to all students across this district. And I look forward to being a part of that effort. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Danielle. And finally, we'll turn our attention to Melissa Zeidema for opening comments.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you to the foundation for hosting this. I think this is a great way for our community to get to know us candidates, and even now, if it's only 3 running for 3 spots, it's still a great way to have our community engaged in what we're doing. Like Danielle had mentioned in her comments, we have the community watching what's happening with governing boards now more than we ever have before because of COVID. And while it's my hope that COVID starts to go down and eventually we move on from this COVID world that we're in right now, we want to still have the community actively involved. Like you said, my name is Melissa Zeidema. I am a mom of 4 kids. My oldest is 18. He just graduated from Millennium in May and went from kindergarten through 8th grade in the Litchfield district. My second oldest is in 8th grade. She's 13 and she goes to Wigwam Creek. I have a 9-year-old that goes to Corte Sierra, and then I have an upcoming preschool student that's 3 years old right now. So this district is near and dear to my heart and has been since my oldest was in kindergarten. When I very first got involved, I was a young mom and stepped my foot into PTA, and that's how I became involved in our district, by helping out at my local school. And I was involved in the PTA at Barbara Roby for many years before we transferred to Scott Libby, and we're part of the original group of people that started the traditional academy in this district, where I, again, got more involved in what was going on in our district due to that program and what was happening there. And also in my time in PTA, I got involved at a state level as well, where I learned more and more about advocacy and what that means. And it's really brought on my passion for advocating for kids and making sure that we do what is in the best interest of all kids every day, all the time. That's at the heart of what I do. That's why I'm on this board right now. For the past 2 years, it's what brought me to get on the board, was because I want to make sure that we are looking at what's best for kids each and every day, and not just some kids, but all kids. I am a very, very big advocate for making sure that every kid at every campus has the same access to all programs and resources, and making sure that we are giving opportunities to all our kids to grow and excel. Being on this governing board is something that I find humbling, and it can be a very big job, especially we've found out in this past year. It's been a bigger job than we probably ever anticipated, but at the same time, I love it. I love that I'm able to be here and be able to be a voice for parents, be able to have staff know that we care about them, to have our families know that we are looking out for their kids at every decision that we make, at everything that we do. And so I'm excited to be able to hopefully continue on this role as a governing board member and work with the board. The board that we have right now is one that has worked really hard, and
You have 10 seconds.
we've become a really cohesive team, and I'm looking forward to seeing that continue.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa. I appreciate it. And thank you to all of the candidates for your great introductions. So we will now turn our attention to the questions and give each of you an opportunity to respond to the questions from local stakeholders. Again, as a reminder, you'll have 2 minutes to answer each of those questions. I'm sure that you all already know this, but we'll say this for the sake of everyone. It's not a debate forum for candidates, but rather an opportunity for you to express your viewpoints. So please limit your answers to the questions that we have asked and make sure that there are no personal attacks. So I will turn it over without further ado to my fellow board member, Mary, who can dive into the questions, and Jeremy will be our first candidate to answer.
Great. Thank you, Catherine. And thank you everyone for being here. Just to reiterate, the candidates do not know what these questions are ahead of time. So we're just going to be going and asking them the questions, and Jeremy will be answering first in this case, then Danielle, then Melissa, and we'll be rotating each question in order that way. So the first question is, what types of skills and experiences will you bring to the board, and what steps have you taken to prepare for board service? Again, Jeremy, you're first on that one, please.
Well, I got what types of skills?
Okay, so what types of skills and experiences will you be bringing to the board, and what steps have you taken to prepare for board service?
Okay, thank you very much for repeating that, Mary. Appreciate that. So, as I said, I'm kind of an inventor, and I kind of look at a different way of doing things. I have five boys really that I've raised. I mean, my youngest one did a very unconventional education. I've been around it. As I said, my mother developed a music teaching system for starting with very early preschool kids before they knew how to read music. And it's very successful, and it's being used in some school systems. It's still a paper type of a thing. But I developed a lot of technology for the motion picture industry. And really, nobody had computers, and I was faced with having to teach them sound editing, which people go to school for, and how to use a computer, which nobody had. So you know, a lot of things you do that really are getting them motivated, and then letting them think things and work things out themselves. And then, of course, you need to be monitoring what they're doing. But getting people engaged. So I think in terms of my experiences and my skills, it's kind of at solving problems, really. And it really doesn't matter what business it's in. I'm completely different business from now and had other ones, but they're all pretty much the same in that you want to succeed and you want to develop the best human potential with everybody, your teachers, your kids. And it's fun doing that, really, honestly.
Great, thank you. And Danielle, same question for you.
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. I think the good part about the governing board is that we all three, the three of us plus the other two, you bring these unique things with you, and some of them are very helpful, and others you find that are really they complement the other people that sit on that dais with you. So I love to hear what everyone has to say about this. First and foremost, I think I'm an engaged community member. I love being involved. I have, since we moved here, we have family that lives here, also in the West Valley. And I just feel like it's important to know what's going on in our community. What are our kids facing every day? What do our parents see, and how do they feel about things? I think that's really important, to be plugged in and kind of willing to do the work of being involved in the community before we ask others to do the same. Secondly, I'm a mom. I have kids that have gone through this district and will be in this district for a few more years. And, nothing makes you quite as passionate as, your kids and what they're doing, and making sure they're getting the best of what's available, and making sure their experience in public education is the same that mine was all those years ago. And I'm proud of my public education background, and I want my kids to have that same, level of pride when they walk away from this, and also the same level of academic excellence that should be available to all kids in every public education environment. Number three, my professional career has been in marketing and communications. And while we don't necessarily market our district, communications has been a vital part of what I do as a board member so far. I think some of it has been good, some of it has been challenging and tough, but all in all, I think being able to communicate very clear and concise and be transparent
10 seconds.
is crucial, to us moving forward as a board and our leadership with the district team.
Great, Danielle. Thank you very much. Melissa, same question for you, please.
I feel like my background in PTA for the past 14 years has gotten me to really get to know a lot of our stakeholders, between parents and teachers and community members, and having to work with business partners and all the different things that we've worked on in PTA and advocating for various items, especially because I got to do that at a state level and got to know people at that level. I've been able to get to know several of our legislators through my advocacy work. So I feel like those relationships that I've built over the last 14 years really adds to my unique perspective, I think, that I bring to our board meetings. And I am not one to shy away from asking hard questions or getting hard work done. And so I feel that that is a very valuable thing that we need as a board member. We need to have board members who are willing to put in the time and do the work. And that's what I bring to the table, as somebody that's willing to do that work. As a board member, I have spent the last 2 years doing any kind of training that I can do that's offered to us through the district, or things I can find myself online. I've attended several webinars. I've read many books, because I feel like you don't know what it means to be a board member until you're a board member, and people have these ideas of what we do and what our job is, and it's not that at all. So it's good, I feel, when someone new comes in, for them to just kind of take a minute to figure out what is it that we are supposed to do. And so that's kind of what I tried to do when I came in. And now that I really feel like I've gotten the hang of it, I'm pushing more and asking more questions and doing more things now that I have that understanding.
Great, Melissa. Thank you very much. I'll go ahead and read the second question out, and we're going to try to keep this in order and flip the order each time. So the next question, Melissa will be first, Jeremy will be second, and Danielle will be third for the responses, please. And the question is, what motivates you to want to become, or if you already are a board member, what motivates you to continue to be a board member? And what qualities and behaviors should board members exhibit? And Melissa, you're first. Thank you.
My motivation was definitely first and foremost my children, and that I have kids aging 3 to 18 right now. And so I'm going to spend many, many years in this district, and seeing this district be successful is very important to me for my children. And then beyond that, I care about the kids that we have in this community. Good schools means good communities, means higher property values, and having a well-functioning governing board is a part of that process. So that being part of that is very motivating to me. I have had people for years tell me that I should try to get on the governing board when I was just doing PTA stuff. And finally decided, okay, let's do this. And I have just learned so much in being on the board that that's why I continue to do it. I think that being a good board member, or what good qualities we need to see, is being open-minded, being ready to listen and understand, and then also being willing to ask hard questions. I agree with what Danielle said earlier about having tough skin, because there's going to be some hard conversations at times where you have to be ready to deal with what's thrown at you. When you have to make hard decisions, you don't have people that are happy with you, and you do have people that are happy with you. So you have to be prepared to handle the good and the bad. So I think that's probably the most important things for being a board member.
Great, Melissa, thank you. And next then will be Jeremy, please. Same question.
Okay. Well, first off, I just want to thank everybody that has spent all this time on the PTA and done lots of things. And I have done a lot of things for schools. But since coming to Arizona in 2006, most of my kids were already through school. My youngest was, and he kind of had his own path, which he decided to skip middle school and do this and do that. He's on his way to medical school now. So he's but he was a little high maintenance. And so now's my time to serve. And I've talked to a lot of people, and you know, there are a lot of, it's a challenging time we're in, and there are a lot of things that have changed in our culture. I think being a teacher is honestly, I know teachers, it's been hell, honestly. And not necessarily in Litchfield School District, but you know, so it's my time. I really feel that I just have a conviction that I can add a lot and compliment others. I don't have any ego in this at all. Just as to be a resource to really, you know, I just see things that, and some of them maybe can't be done. Other ones, sometimes things are way easier than you even imagine to do if you just try them out. So I'm a tech guy. With COVID, Jody and I discussed a little bit just with COVID, all these things. It's actually an incredible opportunity with the online learning to make some major changes and growth that could do things that I don't think anybody's even thought of. So I'm motivated. There you
10
go.
seconds.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Jeremy. And Danielle, same question, please.
Absolutely, thank you. Like Melissa, what started my motivation to be on the board is my children. I started in PTO and did the same thing, volunteering in schools and wanting to know what my kids were doing. And, you know, I have family, I have friends, and their children are in this district. And, you know, quite honestly, I thought they were receiving a great education. I didn't get on the board to change anything. I got on the board to get involved and to continue to help make things better and be a resource for them. So I hope that I have been, but that was my initial motivation. And I think the qualities that board members should exhibit, there's probably 24, if we could sit here and talk about them all day, because this job changes with every meeting and every month and every year that goes by. The 3 that I'll mention really quickly, I think being open-minded. I very rarely walk into a room with one opinion and leave with that same opinion. There's so many minds in the room and people collaborating between the district and other board members and people that are speaking. And it's a really collaborative environment. So you have to go in with an open mind in order for that to work. You have to be a problem solver. Public school ain't easy. I am not going to lie. School funding and teacher shortage and explosive growth with, you know, very few ways to actually, you know, build new schools. There's a lot of problems that we have to solve. You got to be willing to dig in and do the hard work. And number 3 is really having the ability to look at things in an innovative way. We have to make a lot out of very little. And so it can't always be just the way we did it before, or maybe there's a better way, right? We have to sort of go back to that, being open-minded about what the possibilities are, because it may look different than we anticipated, but it might still be great. And it might still offer everything to our kids that we're looking for. So anyway, those are the 3 that I would say off the top of my head, although I could probably list 20 more.
10 seconds. Sorry.
Great, Danielle. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'll jump in now. And for this next question, Jeremy, you will be our first to answer, followed by Danielle and then Melissa. So the question is, what do you see as the board's role and responsibility in the district? Jeremy? Hold on, Jeremy, we have you on mute. There you
That's
go.
my bad. Sorry about that. I
No
wasted
problem.
time, but I'll be quick. The board is, I see the board, I mean, it's really like a board on a company. You know, the day-to-day operations are, Superintendent Gunning is kind of like I said, like putting out fires all the time, because that's what's happening when you're running an organization. The board is kind of the steering, like the direction that it wants to go. And the board is also the one that really has to take a lot of responsibility. So they're independent of each other in a lot of ways for good reason. And I'm interested in our schools are good, but they can be much better. They can really be much better. And kids, as I said, they just have a potential. There are schools in the state that are running circles around us. I mean, there's other districts, and it's not that ours are bad; it's that they can be better. And you know, you always want to get the most cluck for the buck, and that's you know, 88 million bucks is a lot of dough being spent in our school system, and it should be spent in the best possible way to give the best possible product, which is smart kids and kids that have the capacity to be successful in their lives. And they need to be directed towards a career. They need to be directed towards social things that are going to give them civic responsibility, because we're going to live in the world that they're the future world that we're going to live in. If we fail at those things, well, you know, we want the best possible world for everyone. So that's the board can have a lot to do with
10
that.
seconds.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Danielle?
Thank you. Again, I think the board's role and responsibilities could be a very long list, but I think these three probably sum it up the best, and everything kind of you know, envelops into these. Number one is governance and oversight. As Jeremy mentioned, the day-to-day operations and management of the district are really not the, you know, everyday business of the board, and shouldn't be. Our superintendent can do it better, and that's what we hire them to do. Number two is really working with the district leaders to provide a vision for where we're going, right? Not today, not tomorrow, but 5 years from now. Where do we want to be? What are we looking to become? And make sure that the district is moving in the right direction. And the third is we are representatives of the community, right? We are voted into this by the people that are watching this tonight, and parents and teachers and everyone that lives in our neighborhoods. And it's our job and it's our role to help people understand what we do and what the district is doing and how things actually work. I think sitting, you know, on the outside of things, it's very hard to understand how things work. And I think the board needs to continue to do a great job of educating people in what it is that we actually do and how it is that we can help the district do their job better. And it's an ongoing process for sure, but I look forward to keep doing it.
Thank you so much. And Melissa, we'll wrap it up with you.
So the responsibility of the governing board is to basically, we are a meeting point between the community and school administration. The community elects us to represent them on our board, and we are to work with the administration in order to create strategic plan, which we have done as a board in the past, and to make sure that that strategic plan continues to be followed as we move forward. And we are coming up with new ways to do things and applying it to our vision for the district, like Danielle said, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. One of the big responsibilities of the governing board is we are responsible for employing and overseeing the superintendent. That's the only employee that we as a board collectively have, and the superintendent then is responsible for the day-to-day operations and managing all the other employees of the district. It is also the responsibility of the board to adopt policies and to manage and watch over the budget. Basically, we are responsible for that. We've been elected by the community to oversee how taxpayer dollars are spent. So I think it's very important that we keep that in mind of what the community has asked us to do, and to make sure that we're listening to our community when we're making major decisions about that affect our budget going forward. But basically, we should be keeping that relationship between the district and the community as growing and thriving as possible.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa, for that information. We'll move on to our next question. And Danielle, you'll be answering this question first, followed by Melissa, and then Jeremy, you'll be wrapping it up. This question has a few different parts. What kind of relationship should a district and the board members have with the community? Also, in particular, if you could speak to parents and families, and then also with the superintendent and the district leadership. And again, Danielle, we'll start with you.
I think building relationships and building community with each of these different segments is imperative for the board to be able to do their job. I think, as we all just said, it's really important that the district be able to communicate, whether it's through the superintendent or with our own sort of constituents and stakeholders in our community. I think the way to do that is still growing and evolving. We're looking for ways, obviously with COVID and everything being online, we've had a much harder time building that relationship. I think we're looking for other ways to do that. In terms of parents and families, I hope that we are accessible, whether it's through meetings or emails and phone calls to the district. I think being able to be out and about in our schools, taking tours, understand the programs that are going on, and being able to answer those questions directly of what parents expect from the district, and being able to be involved at the school level is really important. In terms of the superintendent, as Melissa said, that is our only responsibility in terms of employment as a governing board. It is crucial that we have trust and respect and integrity between that relationship, because that is the fabric that holds all of this together. I think the board has done a great job of doing that with Jody, and we look forward to continuing to build that relationship in many years to come. Overall, I think as a stakeholder group, it can feel hard to connect with the governing board. I completely understand that. It is our job to be a part of the community, and whether that's volunteering, like I said, or being at the schools, or doing things that actually reach the constituents specifically. It's important that they be able to understand us one-on-one and really know where we're coming from, and us be able
10 seconds.
represent their voice when we come back to meetings and are sitting in that decision-making chair.
Thank you so much, Danielle. We'll move to Melissa now, please.
This is one of the most important things, I think, as a board that I hope we continue to work on going forward. I mean, it's something that we've already kind of started talking about, but as far as our relationship goes with the community, it's vital that we are available to the community. Again, the community is who elects us to be here and to serve in this position, and to govern over the district the way we do. And the community should feel comfortable reaching out to us board members at any time. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to do what they ask us to do, but at the same time, they should feel comfortable and know that we value their opinion, and all stakeholders should feel comfortable sharing with the board. As far as parents and families go, we are making decisions that affect their children. So they should know that we are here, and that I believe 100% that every person on our board has what's best for kids at their top priority in every decision that we make and every vote we do at a board meeting. So they should know that and come to us and share those concerns and share those positive things. Boy, would I like to hear some more positive things sometimes. As far as the superintendent goes, she's our only employee as a board. And so we should build that relationship where we have mutual trust and respect with one another, where we can collaborate, and where we are able to have those open, honest conversations that will involve some courageous conversations at times that are hard and difficult. But hopefully we've built that relationship with our superintendent where everyone knows that we are all coming from a good place and assume positive intent when we are having those conversations, and we will be able to continue to grow and do amazing things as a district. As far as the admin goes, again, they should be able to feel like they can come to the board, but ultimately we work with the superintendent. And so I hope that that can kind of funnel through the superintendent. So
10 seconds.
So people don't feel like you know, that someone is overstepping or going over the chain, like over their chain of command.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. And Jeremy, we will turn it over to you now. Jeremy, we can't hear you yet. You.
Okay, so you can all see that I'm a slow learner with the mute button. Haha. Okay, so I like to set really high goals. You know, the saying, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So why not plan something big? And, you know, one of the things I've learned, we're in a leadership role. One of the things that I really believe is that leadership is actually serving. You really want to put people in a position that you're serving them. That's how you're leading. So I see with the community, first off, you got to talk to people. I mean, I went out and knocked on 1,000 doors. I talked to a lot of people. I got a little bit of an idea what people thinking of schools. But, you know, you need to give some goals of what you know, you need to present something to them because they're working, they're doing things, they're taking care of their kids. They're not really trying to invent new ways or better ways to do things. Once you get those goals, I think we need to sell it to the community and get them to buy into it. Because I see a lot of things with schools having to do with letting parents know, even when their kids are long before they go to school, hey, here are the little simple things you can do at home that are going to guarantee success of your kids. Things that are just going to have them, when they walk into preschool, into kindergarten, they're on it. There's a lot of bad things out there that are in our culture that parents could easily avoid. As far as this leadership serve thing, hey, I'm going to be Steve Watson's biggest nightmare. I'm saying that with humor and fun because, you know, he's the interface with the other school boards and all of them. He's a very easy person to talk to, and I have fun talking with him. And you know what we're doing is really something
10
that
seconds.
could be part of the whole district. So yeah, that's the relationship.
Thank you so much. Mary, I'll turn it back over to you.
Great, Kat, thank you. So Jeremy, you just finished answering a question. So you are going to be the first person to answer the next question, followed by Danielle, and then followed by Melissa. Very short question. What responsibilities do board members have regarding advocacy?
Well, I guess advocacy can mean a lot of things. I think that, you know, traditionally the board is to represent the community, but I think a little bit of it would be to inspire the community a little bit also. So, you know, I don't think you're there to, you know, convince them or twist their arm that, you know, we need this or that. I think that it's a give and take where you present some ideas for them and then let them see how it sits with them. I hope, is that kind of answering the question a little bit? If I'll continue on. If the school needs more money or they need parents to do something or whatever, yeah, you got to speak up. And so I don't think of the board as a real advocate, like they're advocating like a union or something like that. But yes, they should be advocates for the best possible education for kids. So from that part, I guess, yes, 100% advocacy.
Thank you, Jeremy. And next will be Danielle, please.
Thank you, Mary. I think there's three areas really that the board members can, you know, sort of participate in advocacy and really make a difference. Number one is that we should be advocating for our students, right? I mean, we don't work with them on a daily basis, but you know, as Melissa mentioned earlier, every decision that we make should have their best interests at heart, and that is what every board member should be doing. So in terms of that, you know, students should be our number one priority in terms of advocacy. Number two is our community. We should be advocating for the district in our community. We are ambassadors of this district, and we should, make sure that our community knows what we're doing and what our plans are and the amazing things that our kids get to do every day because of the hard work that our teachers and administrators and district leaders are doing. So I think it's really important to have that relationship and have them understand what the district is up to. And number three, and I think, sometimes I feel like it's the most important, and other times I feel like sometimes, we're just not getting anywhere, is our state leaders, right? I mean, we need to be advocating for public education in general, school funding, and what are we doing to increase our pipeline of good, solid teachers? There's a lot of things that have been left not dealt with, to be totally honest, at our state level. And I think it's our job, along with other school boards around this country and around our state in particular, to make sure our state leaders know what we want and what we expect and how we want public education to move forward.
Thank you. And we know the drill now, so Melissa?
I absolutely think that board members have a responsibility to advocate for our kids each and every day. And part of that is being on this board. And part of that is supporting our parent groups in the district that are able to go out and advocate for things that maybe we as a board cannot do directly, but indirectly by supporting these PTAs and PTOs in the district. I think that we are, as a board, we're a part of ASBA, which is a really amazing group that we're part of, and they have their own, political agenda of things that they're advocating for. And we as a board came up with our own things that we put forward and then put that forward to ASBA, and they're going to advocate for certain things throughout the year, like revising the school finance formula. Like Danielle mentioned, funding is a problem in our state for education. And if all of us board members could get together across this state and advocate for fixing that, what a powerful voice that would be. So I mean, clearly we have a role in advocating for our kids every day. That's why we came on this board, I would assume, because we all want what's best for kids. And so we all advocate in different ways. But again, if we can all come together and bring our voices together, it would be very powerful.
Thank you. The next question that was submitted that everyone wants to know is, what is your opinion on bonds and overrides as a funding mechanism? If elected, would you support the continuation of a bond and override elections? Melissa, you're going to be first to answer, Jeremy second, and Danielle third, please.
Bonds and overrides, they are crucial to our funding for our district. And to be honest, they're not my favorite thing. However, they're necessary because of the funding, way we do funding in this state for our schools. It's become a necessary part of having that additional funds that we need in order to fund our specials programs and to be able to have school nurses and all-day kindergarten. And the list goes on and on. Be able to pay our teachers any kind of competitive pay. Like these bonds and overrides, well, overrides cover that stuff. And then bonds for building new schools because they don't give you funding for new schools. We just had a meeting the other night where they said we're not slated to potentially get a new school until 2027. And that could change at any moment depending on where our numbers line up. So if we were not able to go out for bonds and get those approved by our community, we would not be able to build new schools and we would have class sizes exploding in every campus. So they're crucial and we must have them. And as a board member, I support doing them because I know how necessary they are for us to be able to continue functioning at the level that we are in this district, to be able to continue to provide the high quality education, the high quality extra things that we do for our students. And so we will continue to do that. And I am so grateful to our community that we continue to support our schools by approving these. And I hope that we're able to continue doing that. And I would love for us, again, as boards, to be able to come together across our state and advocate for a better funding formula so that those weren't necessary. But until that does happen, we will continue to do what we have to do and use the resources that are available to us to make those things happen.
Thank you, Melissa. Jeremy, your comments in answer to that question, please.
Jeremy, you're on mute.
I'm so sorry. You mute me and then I don't know that I got to go unmute myself. So I'll try to pay better attention. As far as funding goes, it depends on the information. I don't have a lot of information to make blanket statements. You know, generally the way that I've approached it in a business is you look at what you have, what's available, and you try to make the best out of that. You do certain things, and then you, depending on how badly you need it, you go out and do what you got to do to get the funds to do it. There are the thing that is always interesting to me is that I've studied a lot of things where different school systems, you know, Catholic schools have run on very small budgets, very low overhead, and they've in a lot of cases really succeeded. So I and excelled. So I think it's a question of looking at the whole picture. If you need to do it, you need to build schools and you got to pass a bond to do it, then that's what you got to do. But you don't just go out and always necessarily it's about getting more money, because sometimes you have the money there if it's spent more wisely. And right now things are really changing in a lot of ways where online, I believe a lot of online can be used so that you can have very small classes, you know, really great teacher ratios to help kids that need personal touch. And then other parts of the day, I mean, they could be anywhere from a medium-sized group to a very large group doing you know, learning math and things like that. So there's a lot of new ways to do things, and technology is just giving a lot of
10
opportunities
seconds.
to do things inexpensively. So I would want to go get a little more information before I make blanket statements.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Danielle, please.
I'm just going to be really real with you, right? This is actually how I got into work with the district, is supporting bonds and overrides through Continued Equality and our political action committee that supports the 3 school districts in the West Valley. Nobody likes taxes. Nobody likes increasing taxes. Nobody wants a new tax. I don't care what political party that you're from or what your beliefs or foundation is. No one wants to pay any more than they absolutely have to. However, as Melissa pointed out, bonds and overrides both are a necessary evil. It is what it is in the state of Arizona until the public education funding formula is changed. I think we have very high expectations for our student learners. We expect excellence. We expect excellence from our schools and our district administrators, all of our staff, and you cannot achieve at that level without the financial support of bonds and overrides, whether it's a new school or it's school nurses or it's music and the arts programming. All of those things come at a very high cost. And unfortunately, our state does not prioritize those things. We at Litchfield do. Bottom line, we could not achieve what is in our vision for the next year, 3 years, 5 years without bonds and overrides, period.
Thank you, Danielle. The next question is, what do you see as the educational strengths of the district? And what would your educational priorities be for the district? Danielle, since you were the last to answer, you're going to be answering this first, followed by Melissa, and then followed by Jeremy. Thank you.
Mary, if you wouldn't mind, you said, what is the educational strength of the district? Can you repeat the second part of that question?
I'll repeat the entire question. Thank you for asking. What do you see as the educational strengths of the district? And what would your educational priorities be for the district?
Thank you. I believe our strengths are many. Actually, you know, we have amazing teachers who write amazing curriculum. We haven't actually had the financial resources to buy a lot of curriculum over the last probably 10 or 12 years, but our teachers have come together and identified those standards and identified, you know, unique and innovative ways to teach our kids. I think we have, you know, the interesting program that's Traditional Academy, as Melissa mentioned earlier in her introduction. That's been going on for a number of years, and I think has, you know, allowed a lot of kids to access a very rigorous, different curriculum than they would have had opportunities for. I think in general, you know, our strength is in our staff, the commitment of our leaders, and the commitment of our parents to do what is best for each kid individually. We can't teach 11,000 kids all the same way. It just doesn't work like that. You know, I'm not a teacher, I'm not an educator by profession, but, you know, I know that individualized education is much more successful than large group education. In terms of my priorities, I would love to see additional what we call specials, right? That would be music and choir and band and these extra elements that create a more well-rounded student. Reading, math, those kind of things, of course, they're never leaving the docket for sure. But creating opportunities for kids that find success in other areas than just traditional math, science, and English is imperative. Get them passionate about something early on, make them love school, and use that as the conduit to getting other things, getting them into other things with their academia. So I would love to see us, create additional offerings in that specials area to enhance what we're already doing in terms of curriculum.
Thank you, Danielle. Melissa, please.
I agree. There are many strengths in our district. It's why we have such an amazing district that everybody wants to bring their kids to. I would say it stems down to mostly our teachers. Our teachers are these amazing educators who look at each student as unique individuals and are always thinking outside the box of ways to educate our students. We've seen that never more clearly than these past 6 months when they've had to flip the script quite a few times on how they're going to teach our kids. And they've done it. They've knocked it out of the park. So I definitely say that that is a big strength of the district, is that we have these amazing educators. And I also think that another strength we have is offering diverse programs for our kids. We've got a multi-age program at a campus. We have the traditional academy that we've opened up at all these different campuses now. We offer honors for our kids that need it, but all the way down to we have really great reading intervention at every school, and we've got math intervention, and we find ways to meet kids where they need to be met, whatever their challenges are. And we help them to grow as students and be the best that they can be at whatever level that is. For myself, what I'd like to see is I would just like us to see us grow that more and making sure that we continue to offer these programs that are able to meet the needs of our students at whatever level they're at, and that we do find a way to help our kids find their passion, because when they go to high school, they're going to have an opportunity at a lot of these high schools near us to be able to pursue those passions and look at those things towards careers in their life. And if we are able to start that process here at the elementary school, it'll make that much easier for them when they transition to high school and then when they become adults.
Thank you, Melissa. Jeremy, please.
The strength of our district is many. I mean, this is a fantastic community. I mean, we're in one of the best places in the world, and the opportunities here. I know things sound tough, but we really have it better than almost any place in the world. We really do, and we're just blessed every day. We have got great families, great parents. I know they're incredible teachers, and I'm not going to mention some names, but some that I know really well. That are, well, one now is a principal, but we've got problems in the district, but we've got the strengths outweigh them, and so I just see opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. My priorities would be that as I've said before, I'm a big believer in motivation. And I think that a lot of things, when I went to school, honestly, I didn't even know why I was going to school. I really didn't. I never thought, what do I need to do so I can buy a house when I grow up? What do I need to do to be able to be, social and communicate well and stuff like that? And I think a lot of kids are in school that they really are insulated from the reality. I know a lot of parents and families that they're working and struggling, and they don't really go to PTA, not because they don't want to, but because they're exhausted, and they're really needing to do every ounce of energy just to get by and help their kids succeed. And by the way, the ones I know, their kids have really succeeded. Okay. And so, and the people that can go do that are
10
great.
seconds.
But I think teachers and everybody would benefit by some focus to the community to get kids more real and motivated, and the kids will perform automatically.
Thank you, Jeremy. Now I'm going to turn that over to Catherine for a few more questions before our closing.
All right, so our next question, Jeremy, you will be answering this one first, and then Danielle, and then finally Melissa. The question is, what do you see as the role of technology in education? So Jeremy, we'll start with you.
Well, that's kind of been a part of my life. Here's some technology telling me that I'm supposed to do something right now. Okay, technology is a double-edged sword. It's like any tool, you know, it can be used for good, it can be used for evil. I mean, I've been in the media, motion picture industry. I went into that from physics because I thought, well, this is a way to change the world. And honestly, it changed the world for the worse, I think, more than it did for good, sadly. You know, technology should be used to the nth degree to benefit. And by the same token, kids need to be kind of taken away from it. They need to be given experiences as young children. My wife and I kind of experimented with our youngest child, you know, no video games, no TV. He became a reading addict. I mean, and now he's going to medical school. So, you know, technology is awesome. We should use it. I mean, the first thing I want to do is get with the IT team, in addition to bugging Jody until she can't stand me anymore, you know, to find out what we can do, what are the resources we have, and then figure out how to best use them and how to leverage them into different things. So yeah, technology is there. If it's idiotic to not use it, but you got to be very careful that it's used correctly, and you teach the kids what's the way to use it and the way to stay away from it. The mind can be brainwashed really easily. You garbage in, garbage out. You put your bad program in a computer, it's a disaster. You put good stuff in there, and that's those
10
little
seconds.
upgrades. That's how they work, and we want to give them the best quality information. Thank
Great,
you.
thank you so much. Danielle, we'll go to you.
Thank you, Kat. You know, I do agree with Jeremy that technology can be a double-edged sword. I think COVID, if it's taught us anything, it's taught us that in terms of education. What I think technology is a resource for teachers, for students, for families. It's a way to connect our students to the rest of the world. You know, when I was in elementary school, I had a pen pal. We don't have that anymore because we don't actually write letters or cards to people, right? You can just send emails or text messages or slide into someone's DM, right? I mean, we didn't have that. And so the connectivity to people all over the world is amazing. And I can't wait for, you know, our kids to be able to continue to keep up with that. What I think it is not a teacher. It is not a replacement for one-to-one education. It is not a replacement for social interaction for children or for families in the way that we are experiencing it right now. I think it is our responsibility as educators and as a district and as a community to shepherd our kids through what technology is and what it isn't. You know, everything has a good and a bad side. I think that we should take the good parts and we should teach our children how to use it and what to be careful of. They're going to use technology for the rest of their lives, and I would hate to see them leave this district without every single possibility to learn what they can before they go to high school and, you know, continue that connectivity there.
Great, thank you so much. Melissa, we'll wrap it up with you on this question.
I think that we live in the 21st century and technology is everywhere, and our kids need to have access to it when they're at school. And, you know, we've been working on making sure kids have access to it who wouldn't otherwise at home right now during this strange time we're in where we've had to do schooling from home. And I'm happy to see that we've been able to do that because I think it's something that's going to be part of our kids' lives forever. Technology is only going to become more and more advanced and more integrated into everything that we do as we move forward. And so it's a good way for us to teach our kids. It gives them access to things they might never have access to in the past. My kids joke around like they have access to the sum of all knowledge of the world on their dad's phone. At night, they ask the phone questions all the time. And I think that's a great thing that our kids have access to all this knowledge and all these resources to learn new things. But like Danielle said, it's not a teacher. I think teachers can find creative ways to integrate this technology into what they're doing in their lessons in their classrooms and when we're doing online school as well, but that we need to make sure that we separate the technology from the human touch and the human feel that these kids need. They need to have that interaction with our teachers and their friends and things like that. But I do think that technology plays a big part in how they're going to learn going forward. So we have to embrace that, not shy away from it.
Great. Thank you so much, candidates, for those answers. We are wrapping up with our last question this evening. So this question, Melissa, will have you answer first, followed by Jeremy, and then Danielle, you'll close out this last question. The question is, describe the ways that you currently support or have supported the school district. Melissa?
Well, I guess first I support the school district right now as a governing board member currently. And I have done that for the last 2 years, but even now and for the past 14 years, I've served on parent groups at every campus that my kids have been at. When I was on the state PTA, I was a part of starting the brand new PTAs that started when we opened up Heritage and also when we opened up Bell and Soto, and getting their parent groups going. I have worked with the Continue the Quality PAC in the past for our bond and override campaigns in order to have those be passed to have the crucial funding we need for our schools. I have always been a partner with our teachers and the admin at the schools that my children have been part of. Before I was a governing board member, I attended almost every governing board meeting that there was. Sometimes I felt like I might attend some more than board members would show up because I've been going to them for so many years. Because I just feel it's important to be involved in our district and know what's happening, and that's the only way to do it. So the way I support our district is by being an involved community member and parent. And I encourage the rest of our community and parents and staff to all get as equally involved in watching our meetings and joining the parent groups in the district and staying involved that way.
Great. Thank you so much, Melissa. Jeremy, we'll turn it over to you.
Well, I've supported schools, teachers specifically, like a lot of things that teachers just don't have any access to and they wouldn't even really think about. And then when they kind of know more about me, they kind of ask, gee, you know, can we this or that or whatever. So I know that for like Verrado High, I built some huge props that were used with the marching band. One of them was actually a mountain, the Matterhorn, that was fold up and portable, and it actually had a, I don't know why OSHA didn't shut it down, because inside it was like a 12-foot high ladder with a platform, and when the students would go up to the top of it, and you know, we prayed nobody fell down. But I built other things like backdrops and things like that. So I like doing stuff like that. A lot of parents do that. I'm a guy, I like to build stuff. And but when they need stuff too, a lot of times they're just resources and things like that. That's kind of been on a personal level with teachers. What do you need? How can I help? And so I think that kind of covers that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeremy. Danielle, we'll wrap it up with you.
Sure thing. Thank you, Kat. I think Melissa and I have led parallel lives because, you know, as I'm writing this list here, I'm hearing what she's saying, and I think that we have taken a similar path to our governing boardship here. You know, I started as a volunteer in the schools, you know, reading to kids and helping the teacher, and you know, things like that I could do as a parent. That led me to our PTO and to get involved at a school level and a campus level. That led me to be a tax credit participant so that I could support some of those special areas, whether it was field trips or, you know, the arts or band or whatever it might be financially that I could do every tax year. That led me to start some marketing work with Continue the Quality, as Melissa said. Bonds and overrides, you know, as I mentioned before, they are integral to what we do as a school district, and we just couldn't survive without them. So I've been doing that for about 8 years now and have absolutely loved doing that in all my free time, right, that we have. That led me to being a board member and getting even more involved and, you know, dedicating my time. I've been doing that for 5 years and, you know, look forward to continuing that work. But I will agree with Melissa, and probably something that everyone else has said here tonight. The most important way to support your school district, to support your teachers, to support your governing board, is to be an engaged community member. We're not asking for 20 hours of your time every month. We know people don't have that kind of time. We're not even asking for your money from a tax credit, participation. I mean, if you have it, great. If you don't, that's fine too. We know that people aren't going to volunteer to be on every board or every committee. We understand that. What we do want and what we do expect is to have an engaged community. Get involved, know what you can do, and know where your strengths are, and know where you fit in, because there is a place for everyone. Whether that is just sharing
10 seconds.
With a committee, or attending a meeting, or meeting a governing board member and sharing that opinion. We want all of it. Absolutely. Thank you guys very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Danielle. And I'll turn it back over to Mary for our final comments this evening.
Great, Kat. Thank you. And thank you so far to everyone for all of your great participation. You have all had the opportunity to prepare closing comments. That's something that you knew you'd be able to do. And you'll each have 90 seconds. And we're going to go in the reverse order of the opening statements. So the candidate that went last for the opening statements was Melissa. So Melissa will be first for her 90 seconds of a closing statement, followed by Danielle, and then followed by Jeremy. So Melissa, your turn to close.
Thank you again to the foundation for putting this event on. I appreciate the opportunity to get to share with our community our thoughts on these very important issues that our community cares about right now and wants to know more about. I love serving on this board, and I am excited to be able to continue doing that in the future. I feel like we have a real opportunity right now to have the public learn more about our school district and what we do and what the board does specifically due to the situation that we're in right now, where everybody's kind of watching governing boards. And I hope that the community knows that I am here to listen to anybody and everybody and what they have to say. I really do value the feedback of all our stakeholders, whether it's good feedback or bad feedback. I care about it all. And I do try to incorporate that every time I come into a meeting. I weigh those comments very heavily when making decisions. And I am excited to see what's going to happen for our district moving forward in the future.
Thank you, Melissa. Danielle, please.
Thank you, Mary. And thank you so much to the foundation for hosting us this evening. This is a really great way to not only engage with, the other folks that are going to be sitting on the board with us, but also all of our constituents out there. I really enjoyed discussing the future of the district, new plans, ideas on preparing our students for tomorrow's challenges. So thank you to my fellow candidates also. I believe we all have a common goal of creating a learning environment for our students that is safe, first and foremost, academically challenging, socially well-rounded, and taught by teachers who are treated well and inspired to do the job they love. I'm thankful for the opportunity to serve this community for another 4 years. 2020 has presented some very difficult times for a lot of us, but we need to be looking ahead and planning for what could be an uncertain future. I'm confident this district and its leaders are committed to doing the work, and I'm honored to stand beside them in support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Danielle. Jeremy, your closing comments, please.
Oh, Jeremy got that mute button on.
Okay, so here we go. Thank you very much. And this has been very inspiring, this meeting, and I just threw away my closing statement completely because, we're in a situation where we're forced to kind of reinvent the schools with COVID. So let's just make them fantastic. Let's try stuff. One of the things that occurred to me is that in Europe, all the daycare is done by 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and stuff like that, because kids at that age have a lot of energy and they have more patience than a lot of us do. But what it does is it teaches responsibility. And kids crave a purpose. Even little tiny kids, they love chores. My mom brought me up on chores, paid me. When I got older, I was hiring the neighborhood kids. When kids they feel good when they have achieved things. And it's so easy to get them to achieve. There's so many things that they can do no matter what disability or what limitation they have. And I could see things where actually maybe older kids were teaching younger kids, and young kids just teaching each other, appointing a kindergartner to be a teacher for 10 or 15 minutes. and little groups and stuff like that. So I know this is not all new,
10 seconds.
but you know, it's just there are many there's just limitless possibilities. We should try them out without being dreamy. We have to be realistic. Thank you very much.
Jeremy, thank you. And thank you to all of our candidates for participating, and good luck to everyone in the upcoming election. This event will be posted on the district's YouTube page, so those that were not able to join us tonight will be able to hear from the candidates as well. We invite you to share this link with those that you know were not present tonight. Remember to vote. October 5th is the deadline for voter registration. October 23rd is the deadline to request early ballots, and November 3rd is your day at the polls. Good night, and thank you for attending and watching. Be well, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.